everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Brooke, and today is part 2 of my fertility story. So if you didn't see part 1, I will put the link down below so you can go check that out. But I want to pick back up with the continuation of my fertility story. And like I said earlier, that this is an overall glimpse of what my husband and I have gone through over the 6.5 years. But it's great to separate the two periods of time because they are completely different. So in 2020, I discussed that we had stopped with our last transfer and we were taking time to self-reflect and just take time to ourselves because we had gone through so much. But during that time, I had just self-exploration, and during that exploration, you know, as most people go through, was literally I was on Facebook and I heard this message, and the message resonated with me because it was about a woman who had gone through a similar fertility journey and struggles, but in the end she had success. So she more or less was a coach, and she said that you can sign up for her coaching and take advantage of all the resources that she has. So that's what I did. So in 2020, November 2020, I signed up with a fertility coach. And I'll tell you later all about the particular fertility coach, but I wanted to tell you how this coach has helped. So in November, got started. We have to sit down and go through a history of what my journey has been thus far, because I did have a journey. Some women don't. Some women are just getting started. Some women hire fertility coaches from the beginning. And I do advise that people should know that having a fertility coach, someone to support you through the process, someone who knows, and someone who can support your well-being throughout the process, is something that you should have from the start. So I'll yell that from the rooftops. You should have a fertility coach. I loved having the coach and the coaches and just the community of other women at my fingertips. And not only was it a coach, she has resources with other doctors and nutritionists, and there's a number of different doctors that are in the program. So they were so useful. So when I signed up, we went through where my history was, and my history with that clinic. My coach was saying that the clinic was not serving me. So she was suggesting that out of her experience with this other doctor nearby, I should check it out and see if I could get started with this other clinic. So that's what I did. The clinic was a state away in New Jersey, and since I'm here in Delaware, it was more or less like 2 hours away. So I contacted the office. The doctor called me back and we had a consultation. She was like, she would love to work with me, and she thanked my coach for referring me, and we got started. We started with, you know, the whole workup. So you go through sending your records from your old clinic, and they review them, and then they give you a run of what we should do to prepare for my protocol and my treatment. So in my particular fertility situation, I was interested in retrieving my own eggs again. I was with a new doctor, new clinic, new practices, new technology and science, and I wanted to try with my own eggs. So that's what I did. So in December of 2020, I had my first retrieval, and the protocol was great. You know, I'd gone through the mock transfer. So you do a mock transfer before you actually transfer, so they can see how your uterus is aligned, how basically the implantation would go. So we had done that. We did all my genetic screenings and blood work, and so we were good to go. So in December 2020, that's when we did my first retrieval. And out of that retrieval, they retrieved 8 eggs. So out of those 8 eggs, 6 of them were mature, and 5 of them fertilized, and 5 of them made it to day 5. So the changes that I had made thus far, it was going in a good direction. I still had some work to do, but I felt as though I was moving in the right direction. I hadn't had any guidance on my whole lifestyle and well-being before I had my coach. And I do feel as though those changes were starting to take shape in my body. You know, my body was getting healthier. So that's where, you know, I felt great. So we did do the PGTA testing again, the genetic screening with those embryos, and one of them was genetically normal. So we were happy. Mind you, my husband does not like the amount of money that we spend on IVF. It's very expensive. And initially we were paying out of pocket until Delaware had a insurance overhaul and started to pay for IVF treatment. So, you know, you are limited in how many retrievals you can have. I don't think there is a limit on transfers, but we had gotten to the point where we were relieved to not to have to put as much money and thousands of dollars into the whole treatment anymore. So really we were only responsible at this point for just our medications. Medications are still expensive, but we were only, you know, responsible for our medication. So that was great. And we did pay for the genetic screenings. We got the one embryo, so we scheduled the transfer. The first transfer was scheduled for February 14th of 2021. So we had our first transfer with the new clinic, new doctor, February 14, 2021. So unfortunately that embryo was not viable. So we were devastated, but my doctor said, it's up to you. What do you want to do? Doctors always say, you know, when you're at a certain age, donor eggs. So she recommended that, but I said, no, I want to try for my eggs again. So we scheduled another retrieval. So we did the next retrieval in April of 2021. And out of that retrieval, still looking at my notes, out of that retrieval, we got 9 eggs this time. 5 of the eggs fertilized, and we did genetic testing again, and one of those was genetically normal. So we had another single embryo to implant. So another day 5. And sometimes there are opportunities for either to do day 3 or day 5, but with this clinic and with my embryos, I've always done day 5. I don't think I've ever had day 3. And there was one time with my fresh, the fresh donor eggs, we didn't even have to freeze the eggs. We did one fresh and then one was frozen, but more or less, yes, it was another 5-day frozen embryo. So it was great. So my transfer was scheduled for August 2021. So that's when we had our transfer. And unfortunately, and I'm saying all this because without much emotional tie to how many losses I've had, because I've been healing from it. But during the time of when it doesn't implant and when I lost, you know, through the miscarriage, very emotional, you know, crying and feeling depressed. So, but now, you know, I've been healing from it, and you more or less find a way to pick yourself back up and keep going. You know, this doctor here in New Jersey calls me a tough cookie because, yeah, you know, I believe that this is the direction that was meant for me. So, and in the end, I believe that we'll have our baby. So I'm already a mom, and I'm continuing to be a mom and a bonus mom, but my husband and I wanted to complete our family. So that's the direction we've continued. And until God says, you know, this is your baby, or this is not your direction you should take, but we are believing that our baby will come in the end. So after that failed transfer, after the failed implantation rather, I said to my doctor, I've been through too many, and I don't want to. I've been through too many retrievals, too many failed implantations, too many losses with the actual embryos. So I don't want to do my eggs at this point. I was fatigued, and I said, I'm going to go back to donor eggs. And she said, you can go back to donor eggs. I completely support that. It's up to you. I completely support that. So after that August time, we worked on my my donor eggs. So we purchased a donor with beautiful eggs, and they made 3 healthy embryos. So out of those 3 embryos that are frozen 5-day, we and they are graded. I don't have the grading with me right now, but the first one that we implanted, we said we're going to do a transfer, and we did that this past December. So December 28th, 2022. I'm sorry, 2021. And that was a successful pregnancy. And unfortunately, that pregnancy ended at 9 weeks. So that's where I'm at now. We are at that point now where we are still going through the loss of that embryo, that baby, and once, you know, I've completely healed from that loss, we'll talk to the clinic again so we can see what we'll do with those other beautiful embryos we have frozen on ice. So, but it's hard. It's hard that you finally get to the point where you get your prize, your baby implanted, and for some reason it did not stay. So I understand that I don't get to choose whether that baby stays or not, but I do believe that one of these babies will stick. One of these embryos will stick for the long haul, for the long term, to the full 9 months. So that's where we're at. So I will follow back with these individual losses that I've had and how I cope with it, and how my coach and community has helped me. I'll also go through some of my other surgeries so we can kind of share what those experiences were like, because I completely did not understand what those surgeries would entail in the recovery. But for the most part, you know, I feel pretty good. Now with this last successful implantation, we did a different protocol, and this different protocol was considering the endometriosis that my first clinic had said they had seen slightly. But that's the thing with endometriosis. These are cells that are from your uterine lining that spread to other parts of your body, and they become inflamed when the hormones from your menstrual cycle are in place. So that's why so many women have this chronic inflammation that, you know, some women have symptoms, some women don't have symptoms. And I think when it's really bad, you do have symptoms. But in the beginning, I had no idea. But now, you know, my doctor wanted to treat me for inflammation. So there's usually antibiotics on my protocol. And this past time, she did a different dosage for Lupron. Actually, I had to go to my OB's office for a Lupron shot. I had to get 2, 1 per month. So she said she's going to continue with the same protocol for my next transfer, but I'm hoping that we can completely get around any kind of inflammation that might be there for my endometriosis. So they said it's not a autoimmune condition, although I do have an autoimmune condition. I do have hypothyroidism. So that's something else that I have to consider when we are trying to get pregnant. Controlling my hormones, my thyroid hormones, making sure they're in check. I get checked for that monthly. And then with the endometriosis, you gotta make sure that you're not inflamed from that. So that's why I appreciated my coach to help me bring down inflammation through my lifestyle. So that was really, really amazing. I was really happy with the results with this next clinic, and certainly serving me. Love the staff. The only thing with this new clinic is I have to go through my workup for my transfers to another clinic. So they'll do my baseline ultrasound, they'll do my lining check. And so the closest clinic that I can find is actually in Pennsylvania, which is only an hour and maybe 20 minutes away, which is closer than going all the way to my actual fertility clinic in New Jersey, which is 2.5 hours away. So yeah, that was great working with this outside clinic. You do have to stay on top of their results, because your clinic actually needs the results from your outside monitoring clinic, and those two have to communicate, and you're going to need your results from your outside clinic so your fertility clinic can tell you exactly what to do. You're usually on hold for when you start your medications, because you got to see if your linings ready, you got to see if your lining's thick enough or thin enough. Then you have to see if your hormones levels are appropriate to start your new medication. So it is important that you are with a good, trusting outside monitoring clinic that can get you the results and is doing a good job there as far as doing your ultrasound scans. Everything looks clear, and they're basically precise in their work. So that's been working fine. So I'll continue to do that as I go forward. Use the outside monitoring clinic and just go to my fertility clinic for my actual transfer. There's really no other reason to go to your fertility clinic except for the actual transfer now that I'm done with my retrievals. But she did mention that for this next transfer, I will have to do pregnancy loss blood work and workup, and also do another saline ultrasound, is where they go into your uterus and they fill it with fluid to look around, make sure it looks ready for a transfer for an embryo. So I'll do that as well. That most likely will be at the clinic. You have to do surgeries, you have to go to the clinic or to the hospital if you're being put to sleep. But I don't expect to have to get a hysteroscopy. So yeah, I just look forward to just making sure my body is in prime condition to receive the embryo. It's healthy, my body's healthy, it's not inflamed, there's no issues with my uterus. So these are all the things that I keep at hand to help this go a little bit better. And having a fertility coach helped me to realize all the things that I should be doing to help keep myself healthy, as far as sleep and meditation, exercise, my diet, stress, supplements. That was another one. My supplement game has completely changed. Trying to optimize my system, so that was really useful from my coach as well. So I'll end it here. Thank you so much for joining me today. So like I said, I will continue to put out my continuing fertility journey. I'll also go back and review some of the things that I wish I had known before I had started IVF, and as I'd gone through IVF, some of the things that worked and some of the things that didn't work. So yeah, stay tuned, and don't forget to like this video and to share it and to comment. All right, thanks. Bye.